Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and in today's video I'm going to share with you everything I've learned about King Arthur over the last 3 days. And man, has it been crazy. We've seen a number of things, from the new cavalry commander that just got announced for rallying, and we need to talk about if that pairing's going to work. We're going to talk about if Arthur should be the primary or the secondary. We're going to talk about the Delta formation and its role in all of this. And I've been absolutely smashing in Canyon, using Arthur actually as the primary. And there's a lot to talk about here, but let's actually get started on should you invest in King Arthur? And the short answer is yes, obviously. What are we talking about? The dude is amazing. I told you before swaps arrived, he was going to be amazing. He is amazing. And the real question is, should he be the primary or should he be the secondary? And how the heck do all of these interactions with his skills work? So if you were wondering, should you max Arthur? The answer is yes. And I would argue the best cav march in the game right now, hands down, is Huo primary, Arthur secondary. From there, you probably just pair Nevsky and Joan. You've got your 2 cav marches and you call it a day. If you're making 3 cav marches, I probably got to think about that a little more. I'll make a separate video. But should Arthur potentially be the primary is a question I have been asking, and is a thing that I moved all in on stream before technically I even had tested with him, because the commander swap thing got delayed for a couple hours and I needed entertainment on stream and I thought I was going to do this anyway. So I switched my formations over. So does Arthur work as a primary? And I just want to review with you the testing we did, because if you were in the stream, you know it sucked. It was terrible. Absolutely terrible as a primary. Let me show you. Okay. Just as a reminder, let's go all the way to, where are we? I think right here after these barbs. All right. So we did a ton of duels. Shout out to 2377 and everybody who was involved in the testing on voice and did the testing with us in the match. Okay. and here we are. Okay. Arthur primary, Joan secondary. This is the combo I thought was like what I was going to use. My new world was going to be this. Got absolutely raffle stomped by William Liuchen. Now look, hey, look. This is a no gear test. I'm going to talk about the implications of this in just a minute. We're going to get there. Even though you'd say, well, no gear isn't viable as a test, I kind of agree. And there's a big conclusion we're going to draw. Okay. Here's William Wallace Liucha again, just absolutely decimating Joan Arthur. Okay. And we ran Wallace Liucha against Huo Arthur, and Huo Arthur wins. So you can already see why I'm like, yo, beating William Wallace Liuchat is insane. And there it is. Huo Arthur, the way, IMO. Attila was something we tried out, and it did terribly. Okay? Arthur Attila did terribly. 15,500 to 35,500. Not even close, bro. We brought in the Ragnar Skippy, and Ragnar Skippy was destroying Arthur with Joan. I mean, it was bad freaking news. We had to tone it down because we were winning by so much. I was like, okay, let's just like drop the power level a couple tiers here. I started to bring Nevsky Joan versus Arthur Attila, and Arthur Attila still got raffle stomped. Okay, 20 to 30. It's just not even close, really. Here's a close one-ish. Nevsky Joan versus Arthur Joan, 21 to 27. I mean, if this almost doesn't tell the story where it's like, oh, okay. So like Nevsky, who's like 4 years old, is doing better with this Joan combo than Arthur? The answer was yes. So I brought out archers, and even archers beat Arthur primary. Brother, archers! This is bad. This is going poorly. So your conclusion might be, well, Arthur primary sucks, and here he is secondary. Huo Arthur absolutely raffle stomped the Zhuge Liang. What? Oh, I just took out a fort and it just jumped me around. So what is the point that I'm trying to make with all this, okay? As I try to find where I was. Here we go. Oh, that kind of worked out. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that Arthur is amazing as a secondary. It's not really even up for debate. If you're like, should I max him or not? The answer is obviously yes. It's not even close. He's the best new cav commander we've gotten in so long. I don't even know where to begin because... Okay, I do know where to begin. Not only is he amazing now, but the real question is how good will combo be? Because I don't think combo is any good now. But as I show you some more of these results here, I will point out, what are we missing here? Well, look at this. Arthur Nevsky just getting destroyed by archers. Bro, Cavs losing to archers, especially Zhuge Herman AoE archers, is like, this is criminal. Yeah, it's not good. Dude, even Guan Skippy is just having his way with Arthur. Okay. So we didn't even do that much testing with Arthur primary. Arthur secondary, rather, because Arthur secondary was so obviously good that it's like, we don't need to test this. It's just obviously good. And it's obviously so good, we don't even need to be talking about this more and putting more effort into it. That's how good it is, okay? I'm not saying it's broken per se, but I'm just saying it's that good. It's that obviously good. Here's a Arthur belly. I mean, we're just trying now. We're reaching. We're just trying to find combos. But even, that is what? Barely winning versus the Guan Skippy? Insane. We tried Arthur Phillip. Arthur Phillip did not do terrible, but we are still talking about losing to Guan Yu in 2025, right? So that's not good. Here is the Nevsky Joan versus Nevsky Arthur. And Nevsky Arthur is better. So even if you put your Arthur with Nevsky, absolutely slaps, right? Every time you put Arthur as the secondary, it slaps. So anyways, like I said, I'm going to flip through some of this evidence. You saw this on stream. If you're subscribed to the channel, I always stream whenever a new commander jumps into the game. So consider subscribing if you haven't already. And let's talk about what this means for Arthur as the primary. If you believe that a Arthur primary can be good, then that means something very obvious. That obvious conclusion would then mean that you have to have the gear and you have to have the armaments. Otherwise, obviously, without them, we see how this goes, right? Here's the evidence of what happens without them. So what this teaches us, even though I would say it's not definitive because it's without gear and without armaments, because it's impossible almost to get like apples to apples comparisons. What this means is that if you don't have the gear and if you don't have the armaments, don't try to run them as primary. Very simple. And most people don't have the gear and don't have the armaments. And I don't think they necessarily should work on the gear or should work on the armaments yet, per se. And let me explain. Maybe the gear you could work on. Because, as it turns out, yesterday we had the rally lead revealed, and he is not going to probably work, right? Well, I guess we'll see, in the open field. Like, he's so heavily penalized for field fighting, it's actually insane. So if we're not going to be able to elevate Arthur's combo relevance from another pairing, at least not yet, okay, and not for combo, per se, then to run him as the primary, you have to have the armaments. It's the only way that it makes sense. And when I say have the armaments, I think at a bare minimum, we're talking about butterfly effect. Butterfly effect makes it so the wielder's troop gains a boost to combo attack damage, which you almost don't even care about. But combo attacks are launched by their troop are 20% more likely to trigger effects triggered by launching a basic. This is the thing we're talking about. This. Once you can do this, now we're talking about you're having an entryway into an Arthur primary, at least in a like super meta endgame context. I guess if you're not in a particularly competitive kingdom, you can kind of do, I guess, whatever you want. But I just think the power level is not going to compare to using him as the secondary. Very simply put, okay? In case I haven't been clear about that. And the other armament that really, really, really elevates it is this one over here that I don't have yet, Steel Skin. This makes it so their troop launching a combo attack takes 1.5% less damage for the next 10 seconds. This effect can stack up to 5 times. So why am I saying this one is critical? Okay, because this over here just boosts your combo damage. We know you're only really going to pair with one combo commander anyways, so not that important. And this one over here also is only boosting your combo damage, which is not all that important. This is reducing all your damage taken, which is way better than boosting your combo damage. You see the difference? It's kind of a big deal, actually. And what I have found by using Arthur as the primary in Canyon, and absolutely just having a blast, honestly, is that I am finding Arthur, when I pair with Phillip, is just incredibly squishy. Like, incredibly squishy. But I am slaying in Canyon right now. It's actually insane. So, what must be true if you're going to use Arthur as the primary? 1, as I said, is the armaments, but 2 is the gear. And this is insane, and I want to explain this, and I was just absolutely shocked at some of the interactions here, okay? So, first and foremost, combo attacks, as you know, have a chance here to trigger anything that can be triggered from a basic attack or even being hit by a basic attack, which is kind of wacky. So, When we talk about the gear that I keep saying you need to have, ideally it is equipment that has no internal cooldown and has a low percent chance to trigger, and you get the butterfly armament, which, according to support, would take something like this Ring of Doom from a 10% chance to trigger all the way up to a 30% chance to trigger. That's right. I messaged support. They said it does not go from 10 to 12%. It goes from 10 to 30% boost. Wow. So that gets really interesting when your combo attacks have a 30% chance to trigger this thing like a Ring of Doom. But what's even more insane is that although this has a 5-second internal cooldown, things that have no internal cooldown pop the heck off, man. What do I mean by that? You can get multiple horn triggers in a single turn when combo attacks are happening. This is insane. I have seen reports with dagger and web, and you may be like, bro, dagger and web in 2025, what are we talking about? Well, as it turns out, when you look in your report, what you'll see with the dagger is you'll see it listed once, but it's actually, when you look in the next line of the report, it can trigger multiple times, and you'll see that the health debuff could have stacked up multiple times, which is kind of neat. And for the web, big shout out to the folks on Discord. It's discord.gg/Chisgule. We have a special channel dedicated to Arthur. We have a special channel dedicated to Sebutai. Anytime there's something exciting happening in Rise of Kingdoms, consider going to my Discord server. We're going to have a hot topic section where we cover like the really exciting stuff that's happening. Like we had the melon market recently. People made a lot of money from the melon market in my Discord server. Anyways, more as web. You can see in the report this slow effect. It'll trigger multiple times. So although the dagger will only show once, but might have triggered multiple times, at least that's the way what I've seen. Maybe I'm messing that up. I don't think I am. But the web, it's very clear. And you basically see the slow effect showing up multiple times. That's what you see in the logs. March speed of cavalry units reduced. I'll put that on screen if I can find where I have that picture. I got so many, it's crazy. Okay. So this is the sort of thing that I'm talking about when I say the equipment. So that's a very big combination of things, by the way. I'm suggesting that, if you really want to compare the power level to just, hey, make them the secondary, I'm saying you got to have a lot of things. And this is the way it has to be, by the way. If you think about game balance, if Arthur primary was busted without these things, then they would actually have broken the game to then have these things. Do you see the problem? Arthur primary must be balanced around the existence of these armaments. He must be balanced around the existence of this equipment. Otherwise, he's completely broken. So if you want to push the power level with him, you have to have these things. If you want to push the power level with him as the secondary, you don't have to do anything. It asks almost nothing of you. See what I'm saying? And we know that this may change once they have a second combo commander that is designed for the open field. Now, there are some commanders that you can do that with, and I'm almost to that part of the video. I simply want to point out a couple other things that can trigger from combo, and that includes Wily right over here. Now, I actually just put Wily on my Ash of the Dawn. It cost me 60 legendary materials. Whenever the Wielder's Troop launches a basic attack, it has a 10% chance to reduce the next skill damage taken by 5%. In this case, it's 6.5%. And a part of what I wanted to figure out from that is how long does that effect last for? It doesn't say. So I actually battled a Barb and I saved this report for you because I just wanted to show how kind of crazy this is. But not only are you getting more triggers of this because combo can trigger it, and if you have butterfly effect, that can trigger that. But if we go into this battle log, we're going to scroll on down to this turn with the Barbarian. The Barbarian takes their active skills very, very slowly. So you can see here on turn 30 is when they use their active skill. And as it turns out, Ash of the Dawn was in fact active. But weirdly, Ash of the Dawn doesn't show up in this buff section. I know this is battle report nerdy stuff, right? It doesn't show up in this area at all. You'll see it trigger down here. And this is 1 turn ago. It hasn't happened yet. 2 turns ago. 3 turns ago. It hadn't happened yet. Okay, I'm showing you this because this is kind of important for how this works. 4 turns ago, it still hadn't happened. So we know 5 turns ago, okay, Ash of the Dawn buff will last for at least 5 turns. 6 turns ago, no Ash of the Dawn here, okay. Oh, by the way, Here's Horn of Fury triggering multiple times in a single turn, as I described. Okay. What about 6 turns ago? Okay. Still no Ash of the Dawn in this one. What about 7 turns ago? 7 turns ago. There's Ash of the Dawn, right? So, did I miscount? 7 or 8 turns later? So we know that like this effect, even though it doesn't, look, here it says Ash of the Dawn. Where's Ash of the Dawn? It doesn't show up in this list. Lasts a really long time. That's what I'm trying to say. And it can trigger from any of these basic attack synergies. And I'm emphasizing all of this for you, again, because in order for the game to be balanced, every single one of these triggers has to be accounted for in the power level of the commander. And I think it's intentional, very, 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 very intentional, that they didn't add 2 open field combo commanders. I mean, you could see it in the design of the rally. It's like very, very clearly not meant to be in the open field. Not that you can't do it, but they really didn't want to push that power level. I mean, we'll test and we'll see once he gets here, right? But in terms of other things that can trigger, there's also the chess piece Vengeful Strike. This is not too amazing. It's a counterattack thing. I don't think that's too nuts. There's the Weapon Furious Strike that can trigger, okay, from all this combo stuff. Technically, Shattering Strike can trigger, but hilariously, it doesn't have any combo damage interaction, which I think the devs probably will need to change, in my opinion. Same with the gloves, that also can trigger stuff. And again, there's no combo interaction here, hilariously. So that's something that maybe at some point gets patched in, right? So all of this armor and these accessories have huge impact on the balance of Arthur. Now, with that said, I think I am getting away with using him as the primary, as I showed you in Canyon, and I think you can too, if you have the equipment, if you have the armaments, and here's how I'd pair him, okay? First pair I would consider is a Liu Che secondary. He actually has a combo attack. So Liu Che, I think, is a great choice. And I think he's got some skills that are absolutely insane. They can trigger from basic attacks, where I think the synergy here is outstanding. So I think you could use Arthur and Liu Che, and I think that if you did that in an artifact KVK specifically, you'd be very rewarded where you take Liu Che and you make him a Cav commander. That to me feels like a fine choice. I am finding that in Canyon, as I mentioned, Arthur with Philip is working well. Do I think this is a meta combo per se for the open field? I don't think so. The thing that's really working in Canyon is like this synergy right over here. Whenever this commander's troop launches a basic, it has a 10% chance to deal direct damage to 3 nearby enemy troops and reduce their rage. I feel like that's very powerful with the combo synergy, and it's even more powerful in Canyon. And I think it's more powerful than it would be in typical open field fighting. But I do think that the ability to potentially use the active skill of Arthur all over again is really cool. It's like, okay, we don't have more combo commanders. How do we get more combo attacks? Well, what if we just make Arthur use his active skill again? That's a way to get more combo attacks in, right? And it's not perfect because chances are he's going to make himself use his active skill again, and that's not terrible. He's boosting your all damage by 40%, which is just not bad, right? When you consider, hopefully you can get some overlap with Arthur. You probably won't get total overlap though, realistically, okay? So I think that Arthur with Philip is currently a viable combo. Unless what we're saying is the armor and the armaments like makes a huge difference. I'm not convinced that the Attila combo is going to be where it's at. Maybe. It's possible. I would need to test more and see. But I feel like in order for some of these other combos to work out, I think you have to have all the stuff that makes them really crazy, right? And then maybe it'll work. I certainly want to play with it more. And to some extent, it's like, man, Chisgule, do more testing, bro. And it's like, yes, that is the game plan. Y'all, I have 3 kids. It's crazy up in here. Got a lot going on. And I have multiple channels, multiple games that we're playing. Whatever. I am very, very hyped for Arthur, and that's everything I've learned so far. The TLDR is, yes, you should max him. I'm going to do this on my other account as well. I'll probably do that on stream tomorrow, so subscribe. And I think he's better as a secondary for most people. And I think he works as a primary if you have the right stuff. There's probably a few other Arthur pairs. I'd have to do some thinking on this one that would work pretty good. But in the testing we did, the Joan wasn't that great, the Nevsky wasn't that great, and they have all this skill damage synergy where if you use him as the primary, it's not going to go well. But if you use him as the secondary, it's going to be great, right? Just I keep emphasizing, like, just make him the secondary, and you are getting fat W's, okay? And one other thing I can show you, just to really illustrate this, if we go to Canyon, if we look at this defense I had versus Arvix, and his team is just insane, bro. It's so goated. It's just absolutely nuts. You can see that his Huo with Arthur is just pumping damage, like 307. Look at that damage, bro. That did actually... Wait, did it actually do more damage than the rest of his team combined? Right, so this is why I'm saying, just do this. Just do this. This data, I feel like, is very helpful, right? Just do this. That's insane. Absolutely pumping the damage, bro. And you can see that, obviously Arthur with Philip is not going to crank that kind of damage. Did decent, though, right? Over here, I'm just cranking the damage with the Rag Skippy. I don't know if I'm supposed to use Guan. I don't think I am at this point. I don't think so. I don't know, man. I got to mess around some more, right? I do. I'm messing around with this in Canyon because I just want to see, can we make this Arthur work? And, even if you're not buying into a lot of what I've said here, okay, you can at least see the logic that I have shared, which is that if it doesn't work in duels, then the gear and the armaments must be what matter. And if you don't have those, just don't try to run in primary. Easy. Now, when the new commanders arrive, specifically the new rally commander, we'll go test that. So subscribe to the channel. You're not going to want to miss it. Stream probably tomorrow, I hope. I don't know. My schedule's just insane right now. And I'll go Max Arthur on another account. GG. Until next time. You have fun, smash your enemies. Discord.gg/Chisgule, Hot Topics channel. Share your experience with these commanders. I'm looking for it.